really great. I appreciate that so much. We're hearing reports of seniors that rely on the Postal Service to get their medication. Normally that medication comes in 24, 48 hours. Now it's taking upwards of a week to 2 weeks additional to get those medications. I don't need to tell anyone on this call. The difference, that time difference can be a matter of life and death for a senior that relies on that incredibly important medication. Seniors that need to get their Social Security check, they rely on the Social Security check. That can be a lifesaver as well. If that's check coming a week to 2 weeks later, that could be a huge difference, particularly on the issue of housing, in terms of losing their housing if this continues. And I did want to talk. I mentioned earlier we have the great Hopi Chairman on the call. I don't think a lot of people understand here in Arizona or across the country how important the Postal Service is for people living on the tribal reservations. And when there's a delay in the mail to everyone, how that will disproportionately impact tribal communities. So, Mr. Chairman, maybe you could talk about how delays in the Postal Service would impact members of your tribe.
Thank you, Congressman Stanton and Congressman O'Halleran. And I do want to thank you for I'm humbled by the kind introduction that you're able to give me as well. It does definitely have an impact. The Trump administration has made it clear that they want to defund the United States Postal Service. I'm unclear why, because it provides such a critical service to Indian country and many other rural communities across America. And when we're talking about defunding, we're fortunate to have, the Postal Service out here that, for our tribe has been reliant on for as long as I've been alive out here on Hopi. And if we come across this, and I just want to note that I was, happy to have participated in the Indian country preview of the Democratic National Convention yesterday evening. And all across the board, it was just a consensus on, everybody speaking to the fact that this is the most important vote that's probably going to be taking place in our lifetime right now. So when I look at the vital part of the Postal Service, and if that's impacted, you mentioned it earlier that it is under attack. And for us out here in rural Arizona, it makes things difficult because we don't quite have that infrastructure to navigate around certain times. With our executive orders and our mandates in place, that's one of the outlets in order to get that done. So in a sense, this nation was built on those very freedoms, those constitutional rights that we have in place to voice our opinions and, being able to vote for our elected leaders. And that's going to, in a way, silence us, so it has a huge impact on here. You mentioned the fact that about medication, we have the reliance on, the Postal Service to provide that. So it really does come down to a matter of life and death when you're waiting on specific medications. That is your lifeline to, making sure that you're moving forward the next day. So overall, overarching, this just has a huge impact, and I'm really concerned about the direction it's going. So very happy to hear what Speaker Pelosi has done here to initiate that, and I appreciate the support from all your colleagues engaged in this as well, because this is a huge position that the Democratic Party is taking here to make sure the funding is provided across the board. And I appreciate Postmaster Clark's comments here, and I just want to...
Chairman, I'm just a letter carrier 36 years. The postmaster would be a title of postal management. I'm a working man, a letter carrier, a mailman, the man delivering the mail. But I appreciate that, and I wish I would get that rate of pay as a postmaster. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, in my eyes, everybody out here is a vital component that really needs to carry that particular title for themselves. And I reference that because I just want to note our postal carriers out here through whatever weather conditions that they have, and out here in Hopi, it's definitely challenging. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see what our postal delivery employees go through, it's definitely eye-opening. But all across America, I think we probably have a consensus among Indian communities on how this is definitely going to have an impact on, those that are reliant on a lot of these, to the services provided by the post office. So Congressman Stanton, that's just, quick broad overview on the impacts to Hopi. We still use them today. It's still a big part of our daily routine to check the mail. We have bills that still come in. So if that's delayed, gosh, where is that going to leave us with, the additional fees on top of that for having to take care of some of these things, for the simple fact that the Postal Service is a vital component out here on Hopi. And we want to support, the movement in getting the additional funding and, put things where they need to be. It just alarms me that Louis DeJoy has taken a different position, and we do support our Postal Service, and we want to be supportive of that, and that's the reason why I'm here speaking to that as well.
I appreciate that so much. This is ultimately, go ahead, Tom, go ahead, please.
I just wanted to ask the chairman, is there a real need for Postal Service now because you have such good broadband out there?
yeah, exactly.
And that rural America and the tribal lands have broadband, that they don't need the Postal Service anymore, right?
Yeah. We're trying to keep that under the wraps, Congressman O'Halleran. You just took that out of the bag. But I appreciate your humor. And in a perfect world, we'd have both to lean on. But that's a whole another issue. But most definitely, the Postal Service is a vital component. And part of that heartbeat is, that service that's given to our community.
Certainly Democrats are pushing hard, both for full funding of the United States Postal Service and for $80 billion so that we can get broadband across rural America and our tribal communities. But neither of them are partisan issues, because guess what? Both Republicans and Democrats like getting their mail on time, and both Republicans and Democrats like to use the internet and want high-speed internet so they can run their business or have their kids get a better education through online learning, et cetera. So I don't know, some things are treated as partisan issues, but this really is a nonpartisan issue. Everybody wants their mail on time. And on the issue of voting, of course, I don't know, a lot of people don't realize, some of the Hopi and Navajo people live, not in large clusters of people. They live far away from voting locations. And so the mail realistically is the way that they're going to participate in elections. So not having timely mail can make all the difference about whether members of the Hopi tribe actually participate in the election.
Yeah, Congressman, if I could just respond to that real quick. You bring up a very important point. Because of the COVID-19, we still have our executive orders with the stay-at-home mandate, which is limiting our movement out here. And there is some flexibility in that, but our people, for the right reasons, are still afraid of, going outside their respective communities. And, that does, put that reliance on the mail-in ballot as an option, opposed to, the distances we have to travel in order to get to polling sites. And that's even been limited out here right now. So it puts that emphasis back on the importance of the Postal Service for not only Hopi communities, but our sister tribes that I would imagine are sharing some of the same concerns, because this is a very important time to be putting in that vote. So that's a very important fact that you bring up.